Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Scale Model Kit Review. Welcome back to another exciting installment of Build the Batmobile by FanHome. Welcome back to Scale Model Kit Review Studio, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of the FanHome DeAgostini Build the Batmobile. Now this is from the classic 1966 TV series, and I just received pack number 15. Wow, we're already on 15. And this is going to be a fun one. I'm really looking forward to this pack. With this pack, I received phases 75 through 80. That's 6 more phases, and we're going to do a lot here with this. We're actually going to work on the rear deck a little bit, but we're going to switch gears and go right into the dashboard. So that unique Batmobile dashboard that we've all seen, and if you've had a chance to see the original Batmobile itself, then you know what I'm talking about. I could probably throw some photographs here that show the original dashboard on what it looked like on George Barris's beautiful Batmobile. So let's look at the magazine here first. So this is what the magazine is comprised of when you sign up for this subscription. If it's available, head over to FanHome. That's the website there. I'll put a link down below and sign up for this. If it's not available, be patient, because I'm sure they will bring it back. Very popular subject. But the magazine is broken down into, in the very beginning, gives us a TV guide itself, and we're working on Season 2, Episode 76. With phase 75 here, and then it moves on over to Great Batman Comics, in this case comics from 1988, and then Batman Year by Year, and this is from March of 2002. And then we get started on the step-by-step instructions, and this is the rear deck. Pretty simple there. And also I received the binder holder in this pack, pack 15. And when you start receiving your packs, it could vary, and you may not receive this in this particular pack, but maybe in a different pack. Let's look at the parts that came with this pack. Phase 75, the rear deck parts. Phase 76, interior side panels. Phase 77, the beginning of the dashboard. Phase 78, more dashboard parts. Fantastic there. Phase 79, more dashboard parts, the front deck for the dashboard. And Phase 80, more dashboard parts. Let's get started. Alright, let's look at the instructions first. Phase 75. Be working on the rear deck, and here's the parts for that. We have some air intakes going on there. Be fitting those air intakes on the rear underside deck area. attaching that to our interior cockpit. Let me get the parts, I'll be right back. Here's the parts for 75. Let's get a closer look. AP and CP screws. Here's the rear deck. It is made of plastic. And we have our components for the air intake here. Start off by fitting the air intakes. These are these chrome pieces, 75B, and you'll note that there's a notch on one side, whereas the other side does not have notches on the circle. So we make sure we insert those just like that on both sides. See how that is there? Next we're going to insert these grills here, and note that there's detail on one side and it's pretty much just flat on the other side. So the detail is actually going to be facing up. So when we take this grill, we want the detail to go facing down on this into those notches, just like that. Then we'll take our cover, and note we have how this looks here compared to the other side. There's no detail there, and we'll put that down just like that. And we'll go ahead and put our screws into that. They'll be AP screws. Okay, both sides are screwed down. Now you want to screw them down with it not resting on the mat, because the intakes stick up a little ways and it will affect how your screws go in on the back side. That's how that looks there. Pretty cool. Alright, we'll go ahead and mount this to the cockpit. Okay, I brought over the wonderful looking cockpit that we completed in the previous pack, and I think that is fantastic looking. Now remember, there are a lot of replicas out there, a lot of Batmobile replicas out there, and quite a few of those don't really have the cockpit quite right. And the original Batmobile looks like this right here. So if you've done any research on the internet and you find photographs of the original, you'll know what I'm talking about here. But I think this looks wonderful, and we're going to go ahead and mount this tray back here onto that, like that, and it will get screwed down with a couple of screws. I'll show you that here in a second. And 2 CP screws went into that right there and right there. And that's how that looks there. Looks great. That's all we do with phase 75. Let's head over and get started on phase 76. Let's get started on phase 76. And we got our 2 side panels that go into the cockpit section. Pretty simple here. We're going to install them on each side with a couple of screws. And that's what that should look like. Let me get the parts, I'll be right back. And here's those parts. Let's get a closer look. CP screws and those side panels, they are marked with a left and a right. And there's a side panel installed with a CP screw underneath on both sides. That's all we do with phase 76. Let's head over and get started on phase 77. Okay, I've been waiting for this for a while. We are going to get started on the very unique dashboard, phase 77. And here's our first beginning parts here. We're going to assemble the upper part first. That's what that will look like. Let me get the parts. I'll be right back. Here's the parts for 77. Let's get a closer look. Here you go. This is the dashboard here. And this would be the top. That would be the bottom. We're going to mount a part for the top there. Everything here is plastic. Plus we have some very cool looking red and white buttons. And these buttons just get press fitted in on top. Looks good. Bring over the dashboard, and we're going to press fit this piece into that. That's how that looks there. Looks great. That's all we do with phase 77. Let's head over and get started on phase 78. Phase 78 will continue with the dashboard, and there's the parts we received there. The Bat Eye switch panel, the Bat Beam panel, the anti-theft activator, Bat Scope support, Bat Scope screen, and Bat Scope sticker. So we'll assemble the Bat Scope first. Put that all together. Let me get the parts, I'll be right back. CP screws and all the parts for the Bat Scope, plus some of the panels for the dashboard. This one right here is a sticker, and the other parts are plastic. Chrome plating here. And I very carefully peeled back the backing for the sticker, and we're going to lay this down on the panel. That looks good there. Now we'll mount that to the panel here. We'll press fit just like that, and this will get mounted to the dashboard. And mounts to the dashboard like that, and we'll put our 2 screws into that, the CP screws. And there you go. Panel is installed. We have 2 CP screws in. Looks good. Now we'll go ahead and install our panels, chrome plated ones. Now note that you have a longer side on top there and shorter. The longer goes on top, and it's just going to press fit into the holes here. Just like that. And we got 2 more to do. And they're not interchangeable, so they only fit one way. And the last one. Perfect. They look great. There's a mount hole down here for something a little bit later. And that's all I do with phase 78. Let's get started on phase 79. All right, phase 79. We continue with the dashboard. This time it is the upper panel that goes behind the dashboard. We'll install some buttons on that. the homing receiver scope button, the large one. The triangular buttons get pushed in also, and some of the round buttons there. Then we'll mount that to the dashboard with some CP screws once again. Let me get the parts, I'll be right back. Phase 79. Let's get a closer look. CP screws, and here's the back part of the upper dashboard made of plastic. Our round buttons, and they are colored on the ends. I'll give you a close-up of these after they're installed. We have our round button, the big one, and the triangle buttons right there. And the first button got pressed into place, and that's this right here. And you can actually read it. It says increased output, and it has an arrow pointing to the right. Very cool. The next two buttons are these two triangles, and they go in just like that. Do not use tweezers or you will lose them. I used my fat fingers to get these in so that way I would not lose them. Okay, these buttons are really hard to get in, so I would recommend you take an X-Acto blade and just lightly go around in circles and make the hole a little wider. Then you can go ahead and put some extra thin cement on the back side. And all the buttons are pressed in place: red, blue, silver, green, and orange. I'll just take my Mr. Cement and dab them. That's what that looks like there. Now we'll mount this to the dashboard. Okay, next we'll go ahead and turn everything over. Here's our piece we just completed. We'll turn that over. We'll bring our dash over. We'll turn it over also. And we're going to line it up. There's 3 notches that go in just like that. Right there, right there, and on the end. Okay, all 3 screws are in. Looks good. That completes phase 79. Looks great. Let's head over and do the final phase for this video, phase 80. And welcome back. Here's phase 80. I apologize for the air conditioner. I know it's about the middle of April, but we are 100 degrees down here in the southwest already, so therefore the air conditioner will be running. So the parts to continue the dashboard, we have a few decals here. We have dashboard trim, compass lens, the compass itself, indicator lights, and we'll go ahead and install the trim in. We'll screw that down, and then the compass itself, we'll get that going along with some of the indicator lights, and then the decals. Let me get the parts, I'll be right back. Phase 80 parts. Let's get a closer look. AP screws. Here's that chrome trim panel, and that is made of plastic. Your parts for the compass, and I'll give you a close-up of the dial there. That's really cool, very detailed. The decal sheet, and our, looks like our red lights, and the light panel. When you install your chrome trim panel, note that one of the edges is rounded. And you'll see that on the trim panel, how you have a rounded edge and a pointed edge. So that's going to go in there like that and get screwed in with AP screws. And the trim panel is installed. I did knock off some of the sprue attachment points with an X-Acto blade very lightly, and it went off very nice. You can't even tell it was there. AP screws on the back to lock that down. 3 of them. And that's what that panel looks like. Now let's go ahead and work on the compass. Next I'll put the compass into the lens, and I want to put the north even with the notch. There's a notch on each side, so I'm going to have it on even with one of the notches. Just like that. And then this is going to go in to the dash. Just like that. And then our backing plate will go over the top of that. And 2 AP screws will go into that. And 2 AP screws are in that. And that's what that looks like there. Looks good. Next are those red lights. And they're not clear or anything. They're a solid plastic. But notice that they are angled, the mounts. And you want to make sure you get the angle just right when you're going in there. If you notice on your panel, it is angled. Okay, so be very careful with this. We don't get any extra ones, and press fit them in place like that. Okay, those red lights are mounted, and that just press fitted in place on the dashboard. Looks great. Now let's go ahead and apply the decals. Okay, all the decals are put in place. Very nice. One right there. They look great. And that's all we do with phase number 80. I think it looks great. We did a lot here. Can't wait for the next pack to arrive, pack 16, but that looks great. I'll be right back. And there you go. That completes pack 15 of the Build the Batmobile, the iconic car from the 1966 Batman TV series. I went ahead and just did a dry fit with the instrument panel up front. Very cool, and it's really looking the part. I really enjoyed this. Remember, you can only get this from FanHome. Head over to the FanHome website to see if this is still available. I'm told that this was a sellout, so you may have to wait for the next release of this, but it is fantastic and I highly recommend it. If you like my content, please subscribe to my channel and smash that like button. Thank you all again who support my channel, and thank you for watching. Happy modeling, and take care.